Namaste, welcome. I'm Crystal, and I'll be guiding you through a yin session. So the first thing that I always like to do in my sessions is stretch this deep band of fascia that we might be able to feel. Maybe you can do it now. Take one of your feet and just take the tips of your thumbs and just feel deep in. Our fascia is really thin, almost like tissue paper. It's tissue that runs throughout our body, under our skin. It nets in our joints and our organs and our muscles. But there's a band of it on our feet, and it runs up our back body, connects right in the front, so it's an amazingly long band. Maybe you can feel it right down the center. It might feel sort of like a cord. You might not feel it. It's very deep. But this is the place where if we get plantar fasciitis, this is what isn't stretching. That's kind of where what we're doing to prevent is the practice we're going to do next. Okay, so maybe you related to it a little bit. So there are a couple different ways we can do this, and let me show you some options. This can be a pretty intense stretch, so if you do have any injuries on your feet or your ankles, just be really mindful, and be mindful with everything that we're doing in practice. Listen to your own body. So one option, which is probably the most intense option, is to come to sit back on your heels. All your toes are spread wide, and you sit on your heels. You might need a little padding there, so maybe you can take a cushion or a blanket or even a bolster. That might help. The next option is to start there and then maybe fold over something that's supporting you. Maybe you fold over a bolster or come all the way down to the floor, however you might feel comfortable. And then the last option I'm going to show you is a toe squat. So with this one, we lift the knees and we support our bodies with our hands, either fingers on the floor or the mat or maybe even some props, okay? So find which of those poses you'd like to come into. I'm going to be timing us. So come into your pose, and it might not feel very comfortable. And let's welcome ourselves into practice. Let's do that by moving our jaws around. Seeing if we can release any tension that might be in the jaws, the neck, the face, even the upper shoulders. And then relax your jaws. We can take a nice cleansing breath to settle in whichever pose we're in. So let's inhale through the nose. Let's pause with that breath in for just a moment. And then exhale through the mouth. Let's take another cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Pause. Let's see if we can hold the breath in a little longer this time. We let prana, chi, this energy circulate when we hold. And then release through the mouth. We'll take one more. Inhale long and deep. Hold the breath in. And this time hold as long as it's comfortable for you. Whenever you're ready to release, release it through the mouth. Might be a sigh, it might be slow. Often this pose gets a little more comfortable the longer we stay in it. So you might be past the critical part already. But know that this is your practice, and even though I have a specific time set, you're welcome to come out sooner. You're welcome to come out and come back in. You're welcome to come out and stay out. Do what really feels like best action for you and your body during this particular session. We're changing all the time. So listen as you practice. Listen to your body, the effects of practices, the cues your body gives you. Stay in tuned. Yoga means yoke, union. And we want to have union with our breath, our body, our spirit, all layers of us. We're almost there. If you practice this at home, no longer than 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, it's not really doing much or any good. So end it at 3 minutes or sooner. Just a couple more breaths here. Notice what you're thinking about. Try to keep your thoughts positive. Okay, we ready to release? I am. Go ahead and release. If you're folded forward, come on up. And let's come into tabletop. Hands and knees pose, lining up the joints, and just tap the top of the feet. If there's another release you would prefer to have, feel free to take that. This can be very effective in releasing. Good. And when you're finished tapping, since we're in marauding bear pose, we're on our hands and knees. Just begin to connect with your body with some movement. Organic movement to get out any kinks in the body, kind of erase or get into whatever has already happened in your body today. It can be any movement. Shoulder and hip together, shortening one side, lengthening the other. You might extend the leg back, finding a deep stretch in the calf. Keep the navel pulled in to support your midsection. Find what you need. What would feel good to you? Maybe there's some cow-cat movements. Opening the heart and then rounding in. Something I like to do for the hips is to bring both of my knees together and then take my hips over to one side, back toward the heels to the other side, and forward. So I'll be taking a few of those, but do whatever is feeling like right action to you right now. And if you don't know, try a few things. Of course, if you go one direction, then pause and go the other direction. Within the next few breaths or so, begin to finish out whatever you're doing. Make sure that you feel balanced in your body and balanced with whatever you chose to do. And then you can make your way into a comfortable and supported seat. I encourage you to sit with your hips higher than your knees. But sitting however your legs are comfortable. And it's springtime in Ayurveda, it's kapha time, the season of earth and water. And this day that I'm teaching and recording, it's rainy, it's a little bit windy, there's a lot of mud around, so kind of a typical kapha day. Kapha is made up of the elements of earth and water. Let's come into a mudra for prana, prana mudra. Make the peace sign on each of your hands, and then rest the back of your hands so the palms are up. Do some wiggling into your body now, and make sure you can bring yourself into a comfortable, supported seat. Feel free to close down your eyes or find a gazeless gaze. And once again, let's release the jaws. Keep some space now between the upper and lower level of the teeth. And let's take another cleansing breath to settle our bodies and welcome ourselves into practice. Inhale long and deep. Whenever you're ready, exhale slowly this time through the mouth. Soften into your body. Relax the belly and the shoulders. Relax your tongue. Rest your tongue from the root to the tip. And begin to connect with your breath. How is your body choosing to breathe? As you connect with your breath, you're inviting your mind to have a focus of the breath. When the mind has a focus, it tends to be less busy. That can be a real benefit for us. Slowing everything down, allowing us to get deeper into ourselves, just as yin invites us to do. Deep, quiet. Going deep into the fascia in the body, deep into our true selves. You can decide what that means for you as we continue through practice. So just being connected with your breath. Softening, maybe noticing if there's sensation through the nose going in or through the nose coming out. Just notice. No need to change the breath right now. The mudra that we're holding, prana mudra, encourages energy to move from the heart through the throat up to the top of the head. And in springtime, when things can be heavier, we might get caught up in the denseness of that fogginess and the humidity and the mud. We want to stay light as we can. Invite lightness and light into our bodies. And move prana. Move the prana and chi throughout so we can feel and be more energized. So just notice, if you can, the qualities of your breath right now. We're looking for the breath to be slow, quiet, consistent. Inhale, exhale, somewhat equal in length, more even. See if you can relate to those qualities in your breath. And now I'm going to invite you to join me in a different breath pattern, taking a little bit of control, offering some guidance to the breath. We'll be inhaling through the nose, holding the breath, and then exhaling through the nose. Just relax your jaws and follow my lead. Let's inhale 1, 2, 3, hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And once again, just let your body breathe as your body chooses. And as you sit with your breath, notice if there's been any, even the slightest of shift that you can feel within your breath, within your mind, anywhere else in your body. Maybe you have a feeling of being more balanced or centered or relaxed or something different. Take a little bit of time to notice. If you would like to bring an intention into your practice for this session, I'll ask you to set that now. Let's again take a cleansing breath together. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Release your prana mudra, wiggle into your fingers, and open your eyes if they've been closed. Good. Let's extend our legs. Just find some rubbing from the outer hips all the way down around the toes and up through the inseam. Maybe 3 times. It can be rubbing or tapping, stimulating all this lymph tissue and inviting prana to move. And then we'll do similar movement on the arms. Start at the outer shoulder, come all the way down, around the fingers, up around the armpits. Just 3 times is all we need, each arm. And then squeezing all the way around under the armpits, getting into those lymph nodes, telling them to move the toxins out of our body, keep our immune systems nice and strong and stimulated. You can also go around the breasts. A lot of lymph nodes going on there. You can rub, or you can find some tapping around. Aren't you glad this is Zoom? And then some gentle tapping right over your breastbone. There's a gland called the thymus underneath here. It's part of our immune system. So in springtime especially, we want to connect with our immune system and make sure it's working well. Kapha is sort of the time of immunity. Early in the morning, 6 to 10 a.m., again 6 to 10 p.m. in the evening. So stimulating your immune system during that time is said to be extra effective. Then the left side of our body is our spleen, the blood exchanger. Let's rub just under the armpit on the left side of the body. Again, just it's a reminder, it's a connection with our body, telling it to do its job. Good. Let's bring the hands to the outer side of your hips. Hopefully you're still sitting in a comfortable position, and we'll be changing in just a few moments. Let's inhale the arms up overhead. Keep the inside of the elbows in toward the ears. On your exhale, turn your body toward the right. Release the right fingers down. Let them come behind you as far as you can, but keep your torso up. Keep the left arm up. Maybe you can lift a little higher, and then that left hand might come to the outside of the right thigh, or it might come on top or to the inside. Again, listen to your body. Roll the right shoulder up, back, and down. Gaze over your right shoulder, release your jaw, and just feel where you can the impact of the twist. Now mindfully turn your head over the left shoulder. Keep your body twisting to the right. Notice what you feel in the neck, the cervical spine, those vertebrae behind the neck. Getting a nice stretch for the muscles. Good. Let's inhale the arms to center, come back to center, inside of the elbows in, then twist your body to the left. Let the left hand come down behind you, stay on the fingertips. Reach the right arm up, and then on your exhale, let that hand come down. Maybe to the outside of the left thigh, maybe on it. Roll the left shoulder up, back, and down, and gaze over the left shoulder. Keep your torso tall. Keep the head in alignment. Keep the chin sort of coming in, not jutting out or tucking. Just sort of a gentle alignment with the rest of the spine. Where do you feel the twist now? And then turn your head over the right shoulder, noticing what you feel on the opposite side of the neck, inviting those muscles to get some release, some stretching. Inhale the arms up by the ears, turn the palms out, and just let them float down. Good. We'll get ready for our first yin pose. It's going to be a forward fold. I'm going to invite you to come into either star pose, where the soles of the feet are together, the legs are in kind of a wide, long diamond shape, or butterfly, where the soles of the feet come in a little closer. In either of these poses, feel free to use props to support yourself if you like. I highly suggest sitting on the very edge of a blanket, so that can help tilt that pelvic bowl forward, pushing the front hip creases back, so when we come down into our fold, we might have a little more space there. And when you're ready, make sure, reminder to support your forehead on a prop, or the floor, or your body. And maybe you're not moving very far here. Honor where you are. Support your forehead wherever you go. So to come into your pose, take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, keep the heart open. So keep the front of the heart open, shoulder blades toward each other. As you exhale, come forward as far as your body says it's okay, and then round in and rest your forehead. Settling into your pose, releasing intention and effort, releasing any muscles. We want the stress to go into the fascia, that tissue that I talked about earlier. We're going to be here for several minutes. I will let you know when we're about halfway. So for now, give your mind a focus if needed, so it can have that focus and be less busy. Maybe you go into a meditation or a meditative state. Releasing your body, the muscles, inviting your mind to be less busy, and settle in to this beautiful yin pose. Whenever your mind begins to take you somewhere else, do your very best to call it back so you can be here for yourself, for your practice. Your mind and body should be so much at ease that there's no sense of time. I keep track of the time, and you can just allow yourself to be. We are right around the halfway point. If you would like to make any adjustments, maybe you'd like to fold a little deeper, see if your body has opened up. Make those adjustments and then come right back to stillness. If you make an adjustment and it just doesn't quite feel like it's the right place for you, go back to where you were. You always have that option. Notice if your thinking mind is thinking too much. Stay in your practice. Stay with your body, stay with your breath. Just do the best you can. I'm just here to remind you. And as we come into the last several rounds of breath in this yin pose, I'm going to invite you, if you choose, to send your breath or your intention of your breath to a place to maybe invite extra energy to a place in your body or for some opening. So this particular pose, which either one you're in, we're stimulating the energy to the heart, the kidneys, and the adrenals. So maybe you would like to focus in one of those places. I'm sure during this whole pandemic and just daily life, our adrenals have probably been working a little bit overtime. They might like some extra love and care. Our hearts have been working overtime in the sense of emotionally, and the kidneys have to filter everything we put into our body. So maybe choose something and intend your breath to go and interact with that energy meridian that's already working for you. And coming into the last rounds of breath here, in your forward fold. So when you feel ready to release your pose, see if you can free your hands, maybe line up the joints of the arms, and then inhale as you lift all the way up. You might choose to just sit and observe any effects from your practice. You might feel like you really want to get out of this shape right away. So maybe take your hands under your knees, and you can release. If you're sitting on something, you can come off from it. Counter pose to either one of those forward folds is windshield wipers, taking the feet as wide as the mat and slowly just taking the knees side to side. Slowly and mindfully. You can do this seated. You can come onto your forearms. You can go all the way onto your back if that's where you would rather be. And if there are other movements you would prefer to take before we move on in a few rounds of breath, please take that. You might take tapping or stretching, finding gentle twists, or sitting quietly and observing. Your options are really unlimited. Do as you would like to do. I often encourage a little movement between the poses since we are in these static, long-held poses. For that pose was right around 4 minutes. So then it's nice to invite prana to move through the body again and find a little movement, because we'll be going into a still pose again in just a few moments. So finish up where you are, what you're doing. Make sure you feel finished and complete. I'm going to offer you a nice kind of gentle back bend, heart opener pose. And there are a couple ways we can set it up, so let me show you that. One is to come into kind of a supported fish pose. So you might have blocks or something that is supported, resembling blocks. Set up in sort of a T shape. And then the higher block would come right between your shoulder blades, and the lower block is there to support your head. You might have a blanket roll under your knees. This is one option. The other option is to take your bolster, and you can support your bolster with just a low block so there's an incline, or maybe so there's nothing under your bolster. And again, the same type of shape. Maybe something under your knees to support your low back, and then fold over your bolster. And there's one more option, is to take a blanket folded about 5 inches high. Have that horizontal across your mat, right at the bottom of your shoulder blades. And again, you might have another blanket or something under your knees. Here that you can see how the heart and chest are lifted. So find one of those poses. Make sure your body is comfortable. You can bring your arms out to the sides at about a 45-degree angle. Rest the palms up. That helps to just set the shoulders. And it's a sign of acceptance in yoga. I'm willing to accept. I'm opening my heart. This is more of a restorative pose, but it's a nice fit after a deep forward fold. Maybe you take a cleansing breath to settle in. Inhaling through the nose and a slow exhale out the mouth. Inviting your whole body to soften, melting into this springtime earth. Maybe feeling like you're getting a big hug from Mother Gaia, Mother Nature. You can always use a good hug. Settle into stillness and quiet, and you'll be able to rest here for several minutes. Resting our bodies, inviting our minds to be less busy, helps to restore our energy and kind of rebuild that sense of energy within us. In Ayurveda, there's a word for it called ojas. So let's build some ojas. Rest. Again, forget about any sense of time. I'm just checking in to let you know I'm still here. I'm tracking the time so you don't have to. Be in your experience. That's where the magic is. That's the time and place to be in, and you're there, so be there. Is there anywhere else in your physical body that you can soften? Anywhere else that you can release some effort or some tension as you continue to rest here? The remaining time in the pose, I'll invite you again if you'd like to send healing intention to a certain part of your body. In this back bend, we encourage prana to move along the spine. So maybe there's an area along your spine or your back or the heart center or somewhere else you'd like to send that intention. We come into the last few rounds of breath here in this pose. You can let go of that intention and breath and begin to bring your awareness back to your physical presence. You're in a back bend, resting. So see your body in your mind's eye. Begin to lengthen and deepen your breath and find some gentle movement, maybe in the wrists and the ankles, just circling, getting some lubrication there, maybe clenching the fingers and toes and then opening. And then you can take your feet and bring them to rest either on the floor or on what was ever underneath your knees. So your knees are up to the ceiling, soles of feet on the floor. And very mindfully, especially if you're on blocks, come off to one side in the fetal position. Then take your palms of your hands, press into the floor, and then inhale all the way back up to a seat. Did that feel nice? A nice little restorative pose here in yin. Back bends are restorative, but they also help energy to move, so they're really a nice pose to take if you have maybe 2 to 5 minutes during your day and are at a place that you could actually take this break. It might be really nice for you. So for our next pose, we're going to do a series of poses together. I will invite you to bring a blanket and take that blanket right off the side. We're going to come on to lie on our bellies. And so as you turn to come onto your belly, the blanket will come out to your right side. And you might want another blanket or towel accessible as well. So come to lay down all the way onto your belly, nice and comfortably. And we're going to come into a half frog pose. So we're going to take the right leg, the blanket should be on the right side, and rest the frog leg on the blanket. So the frog leg comes out almost at a right angle from the hip to the knee, and then from the knee to the ankle. Then we're going to either turn our head and rest our right ear down, or rest the forehead down in center. So find what works for you there. So your blanket might come in handy to rest your forehead or your head as you come into this pose. Your arms might be bent at the elbows, kind of a goddess pose. And then come into your frog, your half frog. Again, make sure you're comfortable. Imagine that your front hip bones are flush with the floor. They probably aren't, but imagine they're flush with the floor. We're opening up the hips, opening up the whole area around the hips. Also getting a good deep stretch in the neck if your head is turned to one side. Soften into this pose like every other yin pose and restorative pose. Let go of gripping, effort. Soften and settle in. In your mind's eye, you might see your hips, sending some extra nourishment to the right side, all the way around the hips. Can you soften any deeper into your half frog, imagining both of those hip bones nice and flush on the earth. True opening and release. Relax your jaws, whether the side of your head has been turned or whether you're resting on your forehead. You may have heard before that in yoga, the seat of water in the body is considered the hips. So in springtime, when we're in this season called kapha, the season of water and earth, it's important to connect maybe a little deeper with your hips. Some of you might be a little bit cringing at that because your hips might not cooperate with you. This is a good season to get in touch with them and see if you can offer some deeper opening. Maybe pay a little more attention to them in a mindful, healthy, non-harming way, of course. Just a few more breaths here, and half frog on this side. And let's get ready to transition. So we do that by bringing our forehead to the center. And now I'm going to ask you to roll over onto your back. And your right leg, that was your frog leg, you'll hug into your back. Your other foot might be on the floor with the knee up, or your leg might be extended. Let's hug that frog leg in. Hug it deep into the armpit. Press your back body into the mat. And now let's just guide, maybe with your right hand, guide that right frog leg out to the side, not touching the floor, but close, and then bring it up again. Let's do about 10 of those. Your left hand might be right on top of your left hip bone, offering stability to keep that glute down. Just opening this bent right leg out to the side and back up again. Slowly, mindfully, keeping that shape that we've had it in our half frog pose. And then bring that leg up. Let's bring the sole of the left foot to the floor with the knee bent if it's not already. Straighten your right leg to the ceiling, and let's point and flex. Point and flex. And just notice what you feel all the way from the back of the heel to the back of the hamstring. Maybe you can reach behind the knee and just guide that leg in a little deeper. Feeling the stretch in the hamstring. You can circle that ankle or point and flex again. Good. And now let's bend that leg back into that frog leg shape. And we're going to set that right ankle just across the left thigh. Now we're in a supine pigeon pose. You can stay right here with your foot on the floor, or you might slide a prop under your left foot to come a little deeper, or you might reach between the legs, reach behind the knee, or reach in front of the shin and guide the legs in closer. Be where you want to be. Be where your body says it's okay. And then soften everything, including your arms. If you're reaching, just have it be a guidance. We don't have to use the muscles of the shoulders and the arms. Relax your jaw, soften your body, and soften into your supine pigeon. Soften, let go of the thinking mind as best you can. Invite the shape into your body. Invite your body into the shape. And getting into the hips, the whole area, the seat of water. Keep your jaws relaxed. Nice and soft in your pose. If you want to go any deeper in the supine pigeon, if your foot isn't lifted off the floor, you might try lifting it. You might try reaching around the left shin. Just be mindful. That's only if you choose to see what it feels like to go deeper. You can stay just as you are. Just a few more breaths here in supine pigeon. And let's release. If your left foot is lifted, everyone bring your left foot onto the floor. And once again, let's hug that right knee in toward the chest. And then extend it to the ceiling. Maybe this time rub it or shake it or point and flex. Just find a little movement for it. Good. Set your right foot on to the floor. Let's hug the left knee in. Hug it deep in toward the armpit. Get a nice stretch in the low back. You could extend your right leg if you choose. But now come into that frog leg on the left leg. And let's guide that leg to come out to the side, almost to the floor, and then bring it back up to center. We'll do 10 very mindfully, very slowly. Your right hand might be on top of the right hip bone. Slowly and mindfully, you might feel the femur bone move around in that ball and socket joint as it connects to the hip joint. Don't be alarmed. Just notice it. We must be very close to doing 10, even if you're doing them slowly. And once again, let's hug that knee in. If your right leg has been extended, bring the foot onto the floor. Extend the left leg to the ceiling. And let's point and flex. Circle the ankle. And maybe reach just gently behind the knee, a little above behind the knee. See if you can guide that left leg in toward your face, a little deeper. Maybe flex the foot. Notice what you feel from the back of the heel all the way up to the back of the glute. Take movement with the ankle or the foot if you like, or just find a hold with the leg coming in. When you're ready, bend the left leg and come into supine pigeon on the left side. You know your options. Your right foot can stay on the floor. It can be elevated, or you might reach for it behind the back of the leg, or maybe all the way to the shin. Once you have it, release your shoulders, release the jaws, and come into your supine pigeon pose. Again, releasing any tension, effort. Just let the feet drop, just let them relax. You offer your mind a focus if you need something to let the mind be a little less busy. You might also be noticing that this side and this hip feels possibly quite different than the other side. It's good to notice all the effects we find in our practice, all of this information that these poses can give us, being in tune to our bodies. Just continuing to soften everywhere you can. Remember, we want the stress to go into the fascia, and here, especially around the joint of the left hip. Reminder that you might want to also send your breath or maybe some healing intention around that area of the hip or anywhere else on that leg where it makes sense as we stay in this pose and finish it out. And let's begin to transition from the pose. If your right foot has been lifted, lower it to the floor. And let's extend that left leg to the ceiling, maybe bounce or rub or shake. Point and flex, just find a little movement in that leg. And now we're going to transition onto our bellies, coming into the half frog pose with the left leg. So you might want your blanket out again. Come onto your belly. Move as slowly as you need to. And come into the frog leg. The blanket's here to just support your bones and your body. You might have a blanket that your head rests on, and maybe your left ear comes down. Elbows can be bent, or your forehead can be resting. And again, imagining your front hip bones being flush onto the floor. Just imagining them softening and opening up, offering you more space, maybe more flexibility and mobility in the hip joint. Relax and settle in. softening in. If your head is turned, you're offering that side of the neck a nice stretch. If your forehead is down, you're offering a stretch to the back of the neck. So be comfortable and know that you're getting benefit wherever you've chosen to be. We have a little while longer left here in this half frog pose. Connect with your body, your breath, wherever it makes most sense to you. And let's prepare to transition from half frog. If your head is turned, bring your forehead and rest it in center. You can release your frog leg, and again, however it would feel best in your body, make your way onto your back. Once you're there, deeply hug the knees in toward your armpits and press your tailbone into the mat. Offer a nice deep stretch for your low back. And while you're here with the knees wide, see if you can bring the soles of the feet together, sort of an elevated butterfly pose. Then gently press your legs away from you, sort of straighten them, and then bend into that butterfly shape as they come back in. Keep your back body on the mat. I'm using my hands to sort of guide my knees away and then help the inner thighs come back. Just getting some further stretching around the hips, a little bit into the inner thighs. You might feel this a little bit in your abdominal muscles, the front abdominal muscles. Let's do one more. Relax the jaws. Good. Pull the knees in, hug them in. Maybe take some circles on the sacrum. Going each direction, getting a little massage for the low back. And then we have time for one pose to finish out practice. And it's a restorative pose. I always like to say it's your choice because you know how your body feels and what's maybe injured or diseased at the time. So find what you need. But a couple suggestions. One is to take legs up the wall. So it might be up a piece of furniture or resting your heels on the wall. You could build that same scenario if you have blocks and a bolster, elevating it nice and tall, coming close and letting your legs rest. Some of you know what you like to do and you know your favorite poses. If you're looking to further nurture the low hips, the back, You might have your knees wide over a tilted bolster. Any other pose that you would like to have, please make your way into it. Use whatever props you need to fully support your body. If your arms are out by your sides, rotate, turn the palms up. Again, we're lifting and opening the heart, setting the shoulders. If you feel more comfortable having your arms on your belly or on a belly and your heart, please do that. When you're ready, when you found where you like to be, take a breath in through the nose. Hold it as long as it's comfortable. And then slowly exhale through the mouth. And as your eyes are closed, invite your eyeballs to just sink deep into their sockets. Offer them rest from looking outward. Invite them to look inward to your true self. Invite them to be nourished by your own body's fluids. And soften the back of the head, the jaws, the shoulder blades, the front and back of the heart center, the elbows, wrists, all of your fingers, the navel center, the pelvic bones, the front hip bones, and the sacrum all the way around. Upper legs, front, back, and sides. Your knees, the lower legs, your ankles, and all your toes. Invite yourself into complete rest and restoration. Building up ojas, building up energy. Just rest. If you would like to continue and rest longer, Of course, I invite you to do that. I'll be leading those who would like to come out of practice now. So in your mind's eye, as you're still in your restorative pose, see your body as you are, resting. Scan yourself from head to toe. And just call yourself back into your physical space. Again, in your mind's eye, seeing things that are in your space, probably special things that you have placed there, things that are meaningful for you. Now begin to find some gentle movement in your body, perhaps moving your head side to side, wiggling wrists and ankles. Making these movements bigger as it makes sense for you. Gentle, mindful movement. Maybe a full body stretch or shaking the limbs. Coming into the fetal position. Bringing the knees nice and close as they're stacked up toward the navel. Pause there for just a moment and then press your hands into the floor. Inhale, come all the way back up to a seat. When you arrive in your seat, offer your hands into prayer pose, Anjali Mudra. Let the thumbs come right into the sternum and lift the sternum to meet the thumbs, touching your body, honoring all of the elements coming together, fire, air, ether, earth, and water. The energies of lunar and solar, feminine and masculine, all come together when we come into Anjali Mudra. Honor yourself for coming to practice and going through practice in this session. Maybe it wasn't so comfortable. Maybe you didn't like it so much. Maybe you loved it. Whatever it was, honor yourself for being here. And I honor each of you as well. And I'm grateful to be able to share this practice with you and grateful to be offering these classes through Perennial. So stay strong, safe, and healthy. Namaste. Mm-hmm.